How you doing? Hi, I'm Rob. Nice to meet you all. Yeah, my talk is about XM Cloud as well. It seems like nearly all the talks are about XM Cloud, so I'm in good company. Mine is specifically a speed run of all the major parts of it. So basically, trying to tell you everything you need to know about XM Cloud in the shortest amount of time possible. So if anyone's familiar with speed running in video games, you basically want to complete it in the shortest amount of time you can. So we're not going to complete XM Cloud today, obviously, but hopefully at the end of it you'll have a few takeaways that you didn't know before. So just a bit about me. I'm a Sitecore optimization consultant at Sagittarius. I'm actually from Dublin myself, just down the road, so I'm not sure if you can tell by my accent. But I'm based in London with Sagittarius. I've been there about 2 years, and before that I spent 11 years in Dubai. And I've been working on Sitecore projects for about 5 years. Yeah, the purpose of the talk really is to kind of demystify XM Cloud by breaking it down into its component parts and looking at what each really does. So we have a bunch of clients that are in the process of migrating from XP to XM Cloud, and also in like the discovery phase of moving from XP to XM Cloud. And so there's a lot of different discussions that are going on now with some of our clients. And on one level, there's talks about tech roadmaps and license costs and things like that. But on another level, there's a bunch of people who use XP currently, admins and editors and things like that. And they're thinking, what is XM Cloud? What's this new tool that's kind of being foisted upon me? How is it different from XP? What do I need to know? And we're starting to see this when we're talking to clients now. So this talk is really about how we can give them the lowdown on XM Cloud and kind of ease them into thinking about how they're going to use it. So hopefully you can take away something from this about how to talk to your clients who might be a bit apprehensive or even resistant to change. So these are the 6 sections we're going to focus on. So there's the dashboard, how to navigate around XM Cloud. There's Explorer, which is editing tool that lets you work with the raw data independent of presentation. There's components, the tool which lets you create or edit components using a WYSIWYG builder and also manage a style library. There's pages tool, which is where most of the work actually happens. It's kind of visual page editor. There's the personalize tool, which manages the personalization of pages. And there's the analyze tool, which lets you look at analytics from a site level and a page level. So those are the 6 main areas. So let's look at the dashboard first. So I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the XP Launchpad that looks like this. With XM Cloud, the first step is to log into the Cloud Portal, which shows you all the apps and projects that you have access to. If you click into the XM Cloud app, you'll see a little slide out here. You click in Open App, and you get onto the dashboard with 3 tabs. The default first one is Sites, so it shows you all the sites that fall under your project. You might only have one, or you might have multiple ones. And from the menu, you'll see system settings, which shows you the site identifiers related to your site. These are assigned to your website in order to enable personalization and analytics features. Then there are the tools section. So this is the main area where you can select the different tools that you have access to. Some of these will be familiar to anyone working with XP. So you've got Experience Editor, Content Editor, Media Library. But there's also sections that will be new to them, like Pages and Components and Explorer. And these are the ones that we're going to go into more detail. So the first one we're going to look at is Explorer. So this is basically an editing tool that lets you work with content independent of presentation, similar to Content Editor in a way. So Explorer uses a format of cascading lists to navigate the content items in your site. So you can click through them to get to different pages or different specific components. And you can easily find the content item that you want to work with and edit it or add new ones as well. So you can go from a site level like this is the site level, to the page level like this. So from a page level, it's things like the page title, metadata, navigation. There's things like taxonomies or tagging or anything like that that you want to apply to a page. And you can go another level down and deal with individual components, which you can see in the data components here. So this is where all the information relating to those content items can be edited. And it's then reflected on any pages that use the data source, which obviously can be multiple pages around the site. So Explorer deals with managing the raw data. So in the case of an XM Cloud website, this is the data that different components pull through. So things like text, images, page data, component data, things like that. In theory, this data can be used in other channels too. So it could be apps, email, in-store, kiosks, third parties, advertisers, whatever that might be. So that's Explorer. Okay, that is Explorer. Do I have a haunted laptop as well? So now onto the components tool. So this is basically a front-end app where you can build visual components based on your brand style guide, and it lets you manage them with collections, which is a way of grouping similar type of components together. which can be based on sections of the site, like the navigation or the header or footer components, things like that. And there's a component builder that lets you edit or create new components using a WYSIWYG interface. So if you click the Add Component button there, a little box opens up. You can give it your component a name, a description, assign it to a collection, and if you click the Click to Start Editing button, it brings you through the component builder, where you can create a component from scratch using different elements like images, texts, buttons, spacing, things like that. And you can save that and use it around the website in multiple pages, obviously. Moving on to the styles library, so this lets you manage the different styles and visual elements used in your components to make sure that there's a visual consistency across all components. This includes things like fonts, colors, spacing, typographies, breakpoints, things like that. And this all speeds up the design and build process. So that is the components tool, so mainly about the components builder and the styles library. Now onto the pages tool, so this is probably the most valuable and frequently used part of XM Cloud for the average editor or admin. This is the visual editor that lets you create and edit pages using a WYSIWYG interface. And it's super easy to use, even if you're not all that tech savvy. This is one of the biggest selling points, really, and we found clients really kind of like this element when we do workshops with them as well. So the main part of the editor lets you write and edit directly onto the page, which is really intuitive. And we found clients, yeah, they really take to this quite well. And you can update images and links from this view as well by clicking the right panel arrow in the top right corner. So if you control, or from this you can control certain aspects of a component, like if it uses an image, if there's links or URL paths, or even styles as well. So you can have different variants of a component with different orientations and things like that. So you can control all that from the right panel that comes out once you have a component selected, and then click the top right arrow, and it looks like this. And that covers things like layout, so things like span and offsets, styling, so things like spacing and content alignment. Then there's advanced styling, so things like component variants and CSS styles. So in this example, you can see there's 5 variants in the dropdown. 5 variants of this component. So this is a hero component, so some are like image on the left, image on the right, background image, gradient, no image at the back. Whatever that might be, you can control them all from here. And there's a bunch of functionality in the navigation menu too. This makes it really easy to use. You can toggle between the actual site you're on, the different languages of the pages, different page versions too. In the middle, you can switch between the layouts to see what your page looks like in different devices. The responsive one is really good. That's my favorite. And in the right menu in the nav, you can undo and redo changes, which is super handy. You can preview your pages by clicking on the eye icon, and you can publish your pages or move it through a workflow as well from the Publish button. From the Site Tree tab on the left, you can access all the pages on your site. This follows the same structure as the Content Tree and Content Editor. And you can add a page by clicking on the Create a Page button, or by clicking on the breadcrumb icon on an existing page to add a sub-page to that. So for example, it could be a product page or a blog page, and you can set certain sub-pages to use certain page templates by default. So it could be a product page or a blog or whatever that might be. In the same section, there's the Components tab, which shows you all the components that have been built for the site. And these are arranged by component type. So you can have navigation, menus, other things like that, headers, sidebars, whatever that might, whatever way you want to do it, you can set it up like that. And you can add them to a page simply by dragging and dropping them from the side menu onto the page. So when you drop a new component type into a page, you have to choose what you want it to be. So do you want it to pull the content for this component through from like an existing shared data source, for example, or it could be a new content item that you want to create just for this page. So if you want to choose an existing content item, you simply choose it from the content tree that's presented. So you won't see the full content tree like in Content Editor, but you'll only see the folders where the relevant components live. And if you want to create a new component just for this page, you can click the Create New button in the top right of the dialog box, and it'll let you create a new one. You can also manage the page templates from the Pages tool. So on the left panel, just under the editor icon, this shows you all the different types of templates you've put together using the components that you built in the previous section. And this is obviously pretty handy when you plan on creating many pages with a similar set of content or components. So obviously like blog pages, product page, or whatever that might be. And that's pretty much it for Pages. On Personalize, so now this is the Personalize tool in Pages, obviously not to be confused with Sitecore Personalize itself. So we've had a bit of confusion around that with clients. Yeah, so this tool lets you run some basic personalization directly in XM Cloud, and it's accessible from the left panel underneath templates as well. The way this type of personalization is different to what you might remember from XP is that XP obviously uses personalization on a component level, whereas in XM Cloud it's on a page level. And the way this is done is by creating a variant of the page, like a different version of the page, and defining an audience that that page variant should be shown to. So you can have up to 8 variants per page, and you can start by clicking the Create Variant button there. Then you give your variant a name, then you're brought to a screen to create your audience. This is done by adding the conditions that define your audience. So Sarah had a bit around this already. So the conditions you can use out of the box in XM Cloud if it's not connected to Personalize or CDP. They're based on time, device, geolocation, page views, so what pages has your viewer visited, user interactions, it could be like a refer, UTM, for example, and point of sale as well. So to get started, you click the Add First Condition button there, and then the conditions slide out from the right panel. You can simply add them by clicking the plus icon on each tab. So if we click the country option there, and we can choose to show this variant to a user that either is or isn't in a certain country on this visit. And these conditions can be stacked to form your audience. So you can have up to 5 conditions per audience. And these audience templates obviously can be reused across multiple pages as well. So if you click the Save button there, you go back to Pages. So now your audience is created, and you can go back into the page section and create the new variant that you want to show that audience. So if we look at here in the yellow items at the side, the yellow symbol means that the content has not yet been personalized. So again, if we use the right panel, if we click into the component, use the right panel, instead of just showing you the different content editing functions, it lets you personalize. So you can change the content item or hide the component, or if you want to delete it, you simply delete it. And once you do that, or you set, for example, if you hide this component for a certain user, then the icon turns green, so you can see when you go into a page variant what has been changed basically and what stayed the same. So that's the personalized feature. Now onto the Analyze tool. So this is obviously where you go to see how your website's performing. So this is real-time data as opposed to XP, which usually is a kind of day or so behind. And you can toggle between the time frame, so 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, and it goes down to 3 hours and 1 hour as well. So this is so you can break this down by site insights or page insights. There at the top you see the menu. This is the site insights, so here you can see things like visitors, average time on site, visits, bounce rate, and the line chart for visits over the last 7 days in this example. So if we move on down, you can see things like visits by time of day, top pages, top countries, first page, source, browser, operating system, things like that. And also, yeah, and on Page Insights, so that was Site Insights. On Page Insights here, you can look at how individual pages are performing, and you can even compare variants, so this is a really nice feature as well. So if you click Add Page Variant, you'll see the 2 stats of the 2 variants that you selected. Obviously, this one is just a test one, so there's no data coming through from that. But this is a really nice tool that lets you compare different variants or page variants that you might have. And that is the Analyze tool really quickly. And so that's the kind of 6 sections of XM Cloud that we kind of try to go through as quick as possible. So there's a dashboard, Explorer, components, pages, which is kind of the main one, personalize and analyze as well. So that is as quickly as possible. I think that's like 14 minutes, so I'm kind of happy enough with that.